All right, Rohit, let's start with Spain. The European champions are managed by Luis de la Fuente, who has been working in the Spanish ecosystem since 2013. He has managed their under 18, under 21, under 23 teams before taking charge of the national team after World Cup 2022. In World Cup 2022, Luis Enrique was their manager, but Spain after Euro 2012, they were more or less the same team. They played possession
Hmm.
football, but they they could not break the teams down, right? The only time they reached the semi-final was in Euro 2021, 2021, however you want to call, whatever you want to call it. But they could not find the back of the net. And the new coach changed that in Euro 2024. They won the tournament by playing tournament's best football. That's not something we see in every competition, right? They did that. Right now, they are in Group H along with Cape Verde, who are playing their first World Cup, Uruguay, who are managed by Marcelo Bielsa, and apparently no player likes him anymore. So earlier they were fine with him, but they spent a couple of months with him, and after that, they all of them find him ridiculously eccentric. And the third team from their group is Saudi Arabia, who produced the shock of the tournament during last World Cup. Let's
Yeah.
see what they do. Let's see if they can do it again. And I mean, just give me a couple of minutes, Rohit. A few thoughts
Of
about
course.
De La Fuente. He has coached a lot of players when he was in charge of Spain, Spain under 19 team. So likes of Olmo, Fabian Ruiz, Oyarzabal, and or Oyartabal and Marino were
Well,
part of the team, part of his team that won the under 19 Euros in 2019. He was in charge of Spain team during 2021 Olympics. They won the silver medal, and 9 players who started the final are part of his squad, including Unai
hmm.
Simon. 11 out of 15 players. I'm counting both players from the bench, substitutions and starting lineup. 11 out of 15 players who played in Euros final against England, they are in the squad. So all these guys, they are not like England's golden generation who have done it for their
Hmm.
club. They have done it for their clubs and for their country.
Right.
So I mean, I find it really interesting and fascinating that the kind of sort of they trusted their own guy. This is like what Pep Guardiola did at Barcelona only for their national team, right?
Hmm. No, you're right. And
Yeah,
another thing that I did like, and I think you touched on this a little earlier, was De La Fuente. He's got his own style of football. So it's not
yeah,
like, it's like if you look at Spain and like over the last 10 or 15 years, Pep has defined Spanish football to a large extent. Luis Enrique has defined Spanish football to a large extent with what he did at Barcelona. And also he's at PSG, but he's that big Spanish force tactically. But you look at De La Fuente, he plays his own style. He's
yeah,
very vertical in the way he plays. He plays very direct. He always relies on his wide players. He's not somebody who's gonna sort of tippy tappy the ball around in midfield. He's not somebody who's gonna have 98% possession and any of
yeah,
that. He's more, I'd say, he's more in that direct brand of football. And I think that's really good because he's not trying to go back to what Del Bosque did or what Luis Enrique did. He's got his own
yeah,
style.
yeah,
And that is a big hallmark of a good coach, right? You're not trying to
yeah.
replicate something, you're trying to build something up on your own.
Yeah, yeah. And what I would say is he can be direct and he can play in the middle because he has
Hmm.
such players. So he is
Yeah.
basically doing what, say, someone like Carlo did, that he's playing to
Hmm.
his strengths. If you have
Strengths, yeah.
Pedro, he's going to keep the ball. He is going to control games. So yeah, he's doing that. I think. Yeah, I think of course he's done. He's won a competition. I mean, he
Yeah,
did what
exactly.
Gareth Southgate, or let's just say he did what Sir Gareth of Southgate could not do with England.
Yeah. And he did that 2 years ago. That's the big
Yeah,
part, right? So
yeah,
his team is still in that peak. He won the Euros 2 years ago.
yeah,
It's not like that squad, as you very correctly pointed out, it's not like that squad is towards the end of their peak. No, in fact, they're right in it. They're right at their peak right now.
true.
Let's go through their squad. So goalkeepers, so Spanish goalkeeper has sort of been a big topic of discussion over the past few weeks. For good reason, I'd say.
Yeah,
So you obviously have Unai Simon, who at this point is an undoubted but a big talking point in terms of being the number one. You have mainly because of David Raya and the kind of campaign. He's had a good campaign. Let's be honest.
yeah,
David
yeah.
Raya has been a fantastic
Fantastic campaign.
goalkeeper
Fantastic.
for Arsenal, and then you have Garcia from Barcelona,
Yeah,
who's basically their number three. But I think to your point, Unai Simon is someone I think that De La Fuente trusts because one, he's coached him in the past, and there's no, you know how you know what they say, right? If it's not broken, don't fix it.
yeah, yeah. Good point. That's a good point. That's a
It
very good
doesn't
point, actually.
matter what, David Raya is great. No one's denying that he's had a great season, but Unai Simon was your goalkeeper when you won the Euros. Unai Simon has been your goalkeeper when you've very comfortably gotten out of your qualifying group.
Yeah,
It's not broken. Why are you trying to fix it?
yeah. That's
I
that's
think
that's a
that's De
very
La
good point.
Fuente's. Yeah, if it's working for him, Simon's a good goalkeeper. It doesn't matter. So like, it's like the Alisson Ederson debate for Brazil, right? For whatever reason, Alisson, uh, he's always sort of been ahead of Ederson in the pecking order when it comes to the Brazilian national team. Does that mean that Alisson is a much better goalkeeper than Ederson? No.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
know how good Ederson is with the ball at his feet. You know
yeah,
how well he's done for Man City, but that's just a direction that the manager chose, and Unai Simon is a direction this manager has chosen, and he's given him results. So there's no reason to change it.
yeah. That's a good point. And also, even John Garcia, he's a good keeper, man.
He's a yeah,
Again,
they
he's a
yeah.
good keeper. I mean, we did a few watch alongs and live streams of Barca games, right? And he was good in that.
Hmm.
He was confident.
Good in that.
So yeah, I think a good problem to have, man. Three very good goalkeepers. What else do you
Exactly,
want?
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, I think Simon pretty much picks himself, and it's a good strategy by the manager to sort of put his foot down and say, you know what, I have my guy. It doesn't matter, and I think Raya is also good with it. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's gonna throw his, he's gonna create a problem in the dressing room. He doesn't seem like that kind of a dude.
yeah,
So
yeah,
move up ahead, a level ahead in defense. So I think that again, I mean, Spain is again they're very good, but do they have that kind of a defense that I think could very easily, like, do they have a France level defense? I don't think so. So for me, I think Americ Laporta sort of again kind of picks himself
yeah.
in that team. He's had a decent season. He's been good for Bilbao. He's used to be good for Man City when he was there. So no real issues there. The question mark is going to be who plays next to Laporte, because Kubarsi obviously he's a huge deal right now at
Yeah.
Barcelona. He's very young, but he's very good. You have Eric Garcia, who again, I mean, he's a decent player. He plays again with Kubarsi at Barcelona. You have Pubil, who's the Atletico guy, and I think that's it. Those are the only options that he has at center half. So I won't be too surprised if he starts with Kubarsi, the 19-year-old next to Laporta. I won't be too surprised if he does that, but it's going to be a big question mark how much or how well that kid handles the biggest stage.
So I think it's going to be Kubarsi and Laporta because in last
Hmm.
few games it's been so their back four has been a lot of times it's Kukurea, Kubarsi, Laporta, and either one of
Llorente
Llorente,
or
Llorente
yeah
or Poro,
or
one of
Poro,
them.
right.
So I was talking to our dear friend Advait. So he said Mark Pudel is probably he was Atletico's best defender this season. But since you have
Hmm.
the likes of Kubarsi and Laporta in front of him, he can't get it. So even he is a good option to have. They also, by the way, have something I did not realize. They have Alex Grimaldo, who is excellent with set pieces, who plays
Yeah,
for
yeah,
Bayer
yeah.
Leverkusen. Yeah. So they have
Leverkusen.
Alex
Yeah.
Grimaldo. You have Marcus Llorente, who can play as in the midfield, as right back. Same with Eric Garcia, right? He can play
Marcos
in defense.
Llorente will play and will do whatever you ask him to do. He's
Yeah.
that sort of a player. You put him in goal, I'm pretty sure he'll be a good goalkeeper.
He is
He's
a
that
Simeone player.
typical. He's a Simeone player to the very core.
Yeah. Yeah. to the very core. And again, same with Eric Garcia, right? You can play. He can play in the midfield.
Yeah.
He can play at the back. So I think what Della Fuente might have done is he might have gone for players who are more versatile. So during qualifying, one of his he always picked along with Laporta. It was Lenormand. But since he did not
Mm.
have a good season, he decided to drop him for the World Cup. So you can see that ruthlessness with the manager, right? He
Mm.
did not just go with Lee Norman because he played
Mm.
at the Euros, because he was his player. He did not do that. He dropped him right away.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, again, let's see
Mm.
what happens in their final game against Peru. There is a good chance that in the final game, a lot of managers will play their actual starting lineup before the World Cup, right? So yeah,
Maybe.
let's see. But I
But
personally think
yeah.
this is a defense that complements their midfield really well.
Yeah.
You play them
And they
without the
yeah,
midfield, they might have some issues. But
right.
well, of course, we'll come to the midfield next. But if you play with that midfield, I think they complement each other really well, in my opinion.
Yeah. And again, to go back to your very first point, this is a defense that has worked. Two
Yeah,
years ago, you had these guys that won the Euros, and none of them are at that age range. I mean, Laporta is the oldest of the lot at 32, but Cuckoo is 27, Grimaldo 30, Porro 26, Llorente 31, Kubarsi and all these guys are super young. Eric Garcia is 25, Pubil is 22. That he's had a great season for Atletico. So it's not like any of them are going to be completely spent at this
yes,
at this World Cup.
yeah, yeah,
And again, complemented and shielded excellently well by again one of the very very good midfields, one of the best midfields that you'll see. So you have, of course, you have Ballon d'Or Rodri in that midfield. You have Gavi, you have Fabian Ruiz, you have Pedri, of course. You have the two Arsenal guys, Mikel Merino, Zubi Mendy.
yeah,
You have Danny Olmo, by the way, who's again a good player who's had a good season with Barcelona. I think they go with Rodri, Pedri, and Fabian Ruiz in a midfield three. But again, Gavi can very well slot in. If they change their approach a little bit and they want somebody to play down that number 10 role, then Danny Olmo can come in. Danny Olmo can also play, on the either flank if push
yeah,
comes to shove, but they won't need him there. Then you have the likes of Merino and Zubimendi who can come in to shore things up as and when needed. So they have, 1,001 options really
yeah.
to do things here. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, all their midfielders, they are coming after winning something, right? You
yeah.
have Arsenal player who have won the league. Yeah, Barca pair, Pedri and Gavi, they have won the league. Fabian Ruiz, he was so good against Bayern Munich in the second leg. So in the first leg, it
Yeah.
was 5-4. It was a crazy bonkers game. But in the
Crazy.
second leg, one of the reasons they had so much control because they had Fabian Ruiz. So you have Fabian Ruiz. So you have five
Yeah.
midfielders or five to
Yeah.
six midfielders who are top notch. I'm not entirely sure about Rodri because of his injuries. Nothing else.
Mm.
If he plays again, he will play. If he is fit, if he is at his best, he will play for sure, for sure. And Zubimendi, the thing with Zubimendi is in the second half of the season, Zubimendi has struggled a bit. Probably
Yeah.
he needed some time to get acquainted with the league. That could be one of the reasons. Mikel Merino, he later got injured. But again, last in Euro 2024 final, Rodri got injured in the final after the first half. Then Zubimendi
Mm.
came and he had a great game. He had a
Mm.
fantastic game. So they are as stacked as you can be in the midfield, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, you can literally pick three out of those seven, eight players and they will
Yeah.
play. They can play.
Then the wide options, again, they've got two really, really good players. They've got Lamine Yamal and
Uh,
um who's obviously Lamine Yamal is for his age, he's insane. You got Nico Williams, who's still 23 by the way. Nico Williams isn't exactly too old. You got Nico Williams who's absolutely brilliant.
yeah.
Then you've got a few other good options. You have by the way, you have the Palace kid, Jeremy Pino,
Jeremy Pino. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
who's
He
who's
was
a
really good
part
for
of
Palace. Huh? He was really
very
good
good
for
for
Palace. Yeah,
very good for
yeah.
Palace, and it's great for a Crystal Palace player to be playing for Spain. That I think is brilliant.
I'll give you one stat, Rohit, before you go ahead. So there are no Real Madrid players for
Yes.
Spain this time,
Yeah.
but at the World Cup, there are more Crystal Palace players than Real Madrid.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. I know Mateta is. We just spoke of him
Yeah,
yesterday. Oh
yeah,
wow.
yeah,
That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy.
yeah,
No, but yeah, I mean, again, see, Yamal and Williams, I think, start out wide in that 4-3-3, the two wide positions. I put Yamal and Nico Williams to start, but I mean, Pino could drop in, Victor Munoz could drop in, Alex Baena could drop in. I don't think there's Danny Olmo at a stretch could sort of play
yeah,
in those positions,
yeah,
and then finally going into attack, Oyarzabal,
mm,
who has a frankly astonishing record. He scored 24 goals in 52 caps, which is very good for a player that isn't talked about nearly as much as some of his predecessors in the Spanish national team.
true, true.
And for the other options, of course, you have Ferran Torres, who again for Barcelona plays down the middle. He could again play. You know how these Spanish players are; they can always play in multiple positions. So
Yeah,
Ferran
yeah,
Torres could play down, one of the wings or whatever. You have Borea Iglesias,
yeah,
who I think, yeah, he's more of the experienced head who's just there. He's Celta
yeah,
Vigo. He's had a decent season,
yeah,
but again, that's a good attack. If you combine all the wing options and the number nines that they have, you could literally pick any three players. And apart from Oyarzabal and Borja Iglesias, all of the other players can play anywhere across that front three.
yeah, true, true, true. And I mean, they don't even have Fermin Lopez,
Right.
who has had such a good season for Barca, but in the
Barca.
second last game against Betis, he got injured.
Right.
I don't know if it was Anthony who injured him. I mean, I will not be surprised if that's the case because he was so useless for Manchester United.
Yeah.
But jokes apart, I mean, see, if you compare Lamine Yamal and Kylian Mbappe, I mean, Mbappe is a killer, and Yamal is more of an artist, right? What
Hmm.
a player! I don't remember. See, Messi at 18 wasn't as good as Lamine Yamal as 18. I'm not saying that Yamal as a player will be as good as Messi. I don't think. I'm not saying that. But at 18, the maturity and how assured he is on the ball in general, that's ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. I
Hmm.
love the guy.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And it's also, it's so weird. It's also about like how you replicate your idols. Mbappe's idol has always been Cristiano.
Yeah,
And Mbappe is a bloody, one single focus goal machine and a dictator,
yeah, true,
which
true.
which is what Cristiano always was all his career. And Yamal is sort of like that, as you put it, artistic, that sort of a guy. So it's always weird how you kind of replicate and you kind of mold yourself in the line of the people that you kind of follow in life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the issue could be that both Williams and Yamal both are not fully fit right now. So both
Oh
of
yeah,
them are
both are
injured.
injured, right? Both are
Yeah, yeah,
injured. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So Nico Williams, he has had hernia throughout the season, and he has played
Hmm.
for about I think 1,700 minutes for
Yeah.
Athletic Bilbao, if I'm not mistaken. So they aren't fully fit. They both have rejoined the training session, and
Hmm.
the manager thinks that it's not a problem. But again, they need to be managed carefully. And I mean, of course, Nico Williams. Again, we are talking about a guy who scored in the Euros final. The two players, Nico
Hmm.
Williams and Oyarzabal, both scored in
Yeah.
the Euros final. Lamine Yamal scored in the semi-final. I mean, what a team, man! What a team!
And that's the thing, right? I mean, imagine if even if one of them isn't playing well, oh yeah, Danny Olmo can step in. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Victor Munoz, whoever. I mean, you name it.
yeah,
Anyone can step in and start playing that role. And it's so very Spanish to have that. They have such a. I mean, it's. I feel weird to say, but they have such a Spanish team.
yeah,
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's so Spanish in the way they are. Like, the midfielders are so much like your Iniestas and Chavis.
yeah,
Their attackers are so much like your David Villas and your Pedros and that sort of a thing. So
yeah.
it's frankly it's great to see a country producing a certain type of player in line with their footballing philosophy and their footballing culture. I find that quite endearing in a way.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. They are the Australia of football, right?
Exactly, exactly. You know what you're gonna get. It could be Steve Smith, Steve Waugh, Steve whatever. You know how you're gonna play and you know how you're
Yeah,
gonna be.
yeah, true, true. That is true. Yeah. So what's the verdict?
Tough one, man. Again, they come from. They've got wins under their belt. They won the bloody Euros. Uh, I'll stick to just quarterfinals for now.
You think
The
so?
reason being, I think, uh, the reason only being that it to me seems like a situation where if one of Yamal or Nico Williams has niggles in the tournament, people will step in. But is that enough to take them that step up and compete? Once again, I'm going to talk about like an England and a France and a Brazil and an Argentina. Standalone, they're great, but does the squad in general have what it takes to do semis and do a final? I don't know. Quarters for sure because they are that good. Anything beyond that, I don't know, man. I just don't know.
Well, see, bro, my only concern about Spain is they will be playing in a completely different weather, in a completely different environment,
Hmm.
uh, with a team that is not that experienced. I
Hmm.
mean, look at someone like Pedri, and these are all 23, 24, right? All very,
Right.
very young players. So if say an Argentina or Brazil, as you rightly said, step up and they decide that will not let you play. Someone like
Hmm.
Bruno Gimenez, for for
Hmm.
for a game, he decides to turn into a killer. It's going to be,
Hmm.
I think, will be difficult for Spain. And considering see, I mean, I don't know how much how much effect the heat will have on European nations. Because it's bloody cold in Europe, right? It's so
Right.
cold in Europe. So I'm a bit skeptical of that. I think semi-final for sure. But again, in the new format, you never know, man. You
I
never
know.
know.
I know. No.